Hello, good evening. How is everyone? Thank you for joining us this evening. This evening we're going to be talking about, we're sort of doing an online review of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. But before we get into any of that, Kim, how are you this evening?
I'm good, thanks. I'm just wallowing a little bit in self-pity since I aged another year this week.
Yeah, you did. Happy birthday. Will you punch me in the face when you see me if I ask how old you were this week, or are we
25.
just not going? I'm not entirely sure that's true, but we'll go with that because you're the birthday girl this week. Did you get any nice presents?
Yeah. Well, hence the stream, because you paid for me to go to the cinema and see this movie.
Yeah, that was your little birthday present from me. I didn't just buy you the ticket. I paid for your popcorn and I said to Kim, I said, right, because we agreed to do this. I said, sort of a double thing. I was like, right, well, if you go and watch Mutant Mayhem at the cinema, I'll pay for your ticket and all your snacks. But she's a bit rubbish. I was like, just buy your snacks, go nuts. And what did you tell me you bought? You bought popcorn and a 7-Up, wasn't it?
I bought popcorn and a 700ml thing of water.
Oh, that was it. Yeah, like, you could have had nachos, you could have had a hot dog. It's like, it's your birthday, go mad.
Yeah, but I was going out for my dinner.
Oh, excuses. You could have like filled up on like my birthday present and like had it nice and cheap at your birthday meal.
No, food was better at my birthday meal.
Oh, okay, fair enough. But no, well, thank you for actually going to watch it, and thank you for agreeing to come on and do this. I mean, it's probably important to say off the bat, this live stream is not an episode of APC, which APC, for those in the know, and I think all of you here will know that, is our podcast that me and Kim do. But our first one was called Heyday versus Bayday, and when we did it, this film wasn't out, and we definitely would have included a section on this film if it was out at the time. So I don't know, look at this as an extra, an added extra, something you'd get if you brought a film on DVD, except for a lot worse, and just a laugh. So it's just a bit of an informal chat about what we thought about the film and everything, and yeah, we'll just take it from there. But as the thing says at the bottom, there will be spoilers. If you haven't seen the film and you want to see it and you don't want it spoiled, your one and only warning. We're not going to like be going for it beat by beat, but we will be talking elements of the film. But also, what I want to do before we go any further is I just want to say hello to a few people in the chat. We've already got a few in, which is nice, because I always worry when I do these streams that we won't have anyone show up. So we've got Alan Dawson in. Hello, Alan. Who else do we have? We had Kat pop in. Hello, Kat. Who else have we got? Some weirdo called KymGonic. Hello, KymGonic. Don't know who she is. Keith Knight. Uncle Keith. Hello, Keith. Rolando Flores. And yeah, that's who's in at the moment. But something I wanted to do, Kim, if you don't mind, I got a message earlier today from a friend who's actually in the chat, and she messaged me. Well, I think the only thing I can do is show everyone what she messaged me. You need to do me a shout out on your live tonight because you always ignore my comments. Well, this is my friend Emma C, and she's in the comment section. I don't want to say hello to Emma, but I don't want her to feel left out because obviously she feels ignored. I've known her for over 10 years now. So I'm just going to give a massive special shout out to my friend Emma. So everyone in the comment section, if you could just give Emma a massive hello, because I don't want her feeling left out. So hopefully Emma doesn't feel left out now. Is that mean of me, Kim? Is that mean? Emma's lovely. We've been friends for absolute years.
She'll get you back eventually.
She will. Well, Emma's coming down with her other half. I think it's the 7th and 8th of September, and they're specifically staying in Dorset so that they can come and see me and Carla. So it's not that long, and she can. Well, she won't be able to slap me in the face. She probably only stands about waist height on me. She's tiny. But
yeah, but then she could kick you somewhere else.
Well, that would be painful. Anyway, hijinks aside, should enough of this waffle and bollocks. Sorry, said a bad word. Oh well, I'm not monetized. It doesn't matter. Shall we get into the subject?
Suppose so.
So yes, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Mutant Mayhem. What a film! Now, Kim, would you like to give those in attendance a little synopsis of the film? You like doing those, don't you?
No, it's just because I speak better than you do.
You don't give away the secrets, man.
Okay. Right. I'll just get into it. Sorry.
Yeah, just don't worry about me.
After years of being sheltered by the human world, the Turtle Brothers set out to win the hearts of New Yorkers and be accepted as normal teenagers. Their new friend, April O'Neil, helps them take on a mysterious crime syndicate, but they soon get in over their heads when an army of mutants is unleashed upon them.
Yeah, so that's the synopsis of the film. So Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Mutant Mayhem. I'm going to be totally honest off the bat. For ages, and Kim will know this, I was saying to Kim, don't want to see this film. I don't like the look of the animation style. It just seems to be, I don't get why are they remaking Turtles, but I have this thing called a child, and my boy wanted to go and see it, and I have to admit, I really enjoyed the film. So I'm kind of glad that I did go to see it. It's the intro, it starts, it's very much a retelling, isn't it, Kim? I mean, did that stand out to you, that how they've gone at it from a different way? They've certainly brought it into 2023, haven't they?
Yeah, they've definitely modernized it quite a bit, and I suppose the story is just very different. The only sort of, in very small parts, do they actually relate it back to previous told stories or what the original was.
Yeah, there's certainly lots of Easter eggs I spotted in there. Little hints to previous versions of the Turtles, because we got to bear in mind that Turtles all started out from the Eastman and Laird comic, and that could not be more different than anything we've ever had on the screen. I mean, the first thing that came after the Eastman and Laird comic was the 1987 Fred Wolf cartoon, and then after that, in 1990, we got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Mm-hmm.
And the history has just carried on and on. I mean, I think this story, I would say the story was a lot more of the Turtles are a lot more naive in this film than they've ever been before. They certainly, they are teenagers in this film, and young teenagers at that. They say they're around 15 due to the flashback, but they're not as mature as they have been in previous incarnations. What did you think on that, Kim?
No, I definitely say, like, even though they say they're 15, I would say they're a very young 15 at that.
I mean,
like, there's still a lot of naivety to them, like more so than what I would class a 15-year-old to have.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly would have put them around 12, 13.
Yeah.
But I mean, not to look too deep into it, because Seth Rogen, one of the producers, this film was directed by a chap called Jeff Rowe, but Seth Rogen, the Seth Rogen we all know from Hollywood, and that is the main producer of the film, and he has been out there saying that he wanted this film to focus more on the teenage part of it rather than the ninja thing, which the films had always focused on before. And so I would definitely say that they are younger in it, and their motivations and the reasons for doing what they do in the film it's more childlike. I mean, long and short of the story is they meet a girl called April O'Neil. Well, let's actually go back before that. 15 years prior to where the Turtles are the teenagers they are, a scientist called Baxter Stockman creates a mutagen that he makes a fly called Superfly. So Baxter Stockman is not Superfly. So if you haven't seen this one, that's obviously spoilers. Baxter Stockman is not Superfly. He is a creation of Superfly. So they've separated him. So they've done different than what they did in the Fred Wolf cartoon. I suspect some of that might be to do with the fact that Baxter Stockman in the Fred Wolf cartoon is a massive play on the film The Fly, so maybe they wanted to avoid copyright and whatnot. But Baxter Stockman is responsible for the creation of all the mutants: Bebop, Rocksteady, Mondo Gecko, Scumbug, Leatherhead. You see them all in the intro scene of the film, and there's an assault by TCRI, the company, which come up back after that. So I believe he worked for them previously. They go to get the mutagen. Mutagen goes down the sewers. We all know the story. The turtles mutate. Splinter finds them. Here we are 15 years later, and the turtles are basically going after. They meet April O'Neil, and what they do is they decide to go after a criminal mutant called Superfly, who's doing all these big heists around the city. And as they go after him, they learn other things, which we'll go into as we go through this. So, but the ultimate thing is, for all that waffle I've just given there, is that the turtles want to do this. They want to do this because they want the humans to like them. They want to be popular enough to go. They want to be popular with the humans, and they want to be able to go to high school. That's pretty much what it is, isn't it, Kim? They're not initially doing it because they want to be heroes. They know they have to be heroes to be liked, but they're doing it because, well, for one instance, after the beginning scene, they show a scene of them on a roof. They go out to get groceries, and on the way home, they decide to take a look at a showing of a film which is being shown in public in New York, and it's Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and they pine that life. But they sort of believe what they see in that film is what the real world is as well. They think that going into the real world will make them as popular as that, and that they can do sort of do what they want, if that makes any sense. Is there anything you wanted to add to that, Kim?
Yeah, well, the long and short of it is they just want to be accepted into society. They just want to be what every other person is in society. They go about their day, and nobody really bats an eyelid or makes fun of them or anything like that. They can go to school, they can graduate, they can get jobs, they can have relationships.
Yeah, and I think some of that as well. The fact that they've grown up in the sewers being so sheltered because Splinter's brung them up. Splinter's brung them up to be very scared of the real world, because when he was a rat, he says that he was never accepted by the rats or the other animals, and in the real world, the turtles were sort of pining as toddlers to go out, and he took them out into Times Square, where typically there's people dressed up in crazy costumes and whatnot. But someone realized that he was a rat man, and they all chased after him and wanted to basically kill him. So Splinter has convinced the turtles that going into the real world is dangerous. Humans are I wish I could remember the speech that Leonardo did where he goes on. There's a bit, because you had a point about that, didn't you, Kim?
Oh yeah, where they basically said that humans were evil, disgusting things, and then because it's an early film, you're expecting a whole heap of wokeness, but there wasn't really too much apart from that one little bit when he's like, well, yeah, but that could be prejudiced against humans and blah blah blah. But
yeah, I took that line to be tongue in cheek.
Yeah, said in quite a sarcastic tone, as in to say, yeah, we would just expect there to be some sort of like mention that that's not true and that's just an opinion.
Oh, we will get into this a bit later on in the stream, but given all the stuff that's gone about this film and woke agendas and Hollywood this and that and the other, if you watch the film, there's really none of that pushed down your throat in this film. There's none of it. It really is just a straight up kids film. I mean, you can find anything you want, any meaning you want, if you look and dig deep enough. But anyway, so to carry on a bit more with the story, they go after Superfly. They end up meeting Superfly, who's played by Ice Cube, who I think is absolutely brilliant in this film. He plays Superfly so well. They meet the other mutants and realize they have a bunch of mutant cousins, and they decide, well, maybe we want to stick with these guys because they're pretty cool. And then they realize that actually what Superfly wants to do is kill all the humans. Then they decide that they don't want to do that. And this is the point where they separate from Superfly. There's a big battle in vans driving around, and yeah, Superfly manages to build the machine anyway. The turtles get kidnapped by TCRI, who milk them. There's a theme in this film. Splinter keeps warning the turtles that if they go into the real world, the humans will capture them and milk them. And a couple of times in the turtles initially turn around to Splinter and go, but we don't have nipples. And even April chirps up later in the film, but you don't have nipples. But they end up actually being connected to a machine called the Super Milker 2000, I think it is.
Mega Milker 2000.
Mega Milker 2000. Yeah, your memory's better than mine. And Sylvia Ooptrom, and that name's important there, Ooptrom, for anyone who's a fan of the Turtles. She wants to steal their blood so she can make her own army of turtles. Splinter shows up, kicks everyone's asses. The turtles escape. They go after Superfly. The other mutants realize that they don't have to kill the human race. They can join up with the turtles. Superfly becomes Super Duperfly because he falls in the water and his machine goes off and he mutates all the other animals. There's a big Godzilla-esque battle in the middle of the city with a giant Superfly. The turtles manage to shrink him back down again and undo his mutation with a anti-mutagen thing, which April has managed to steal with a bike she stole from the labs. And yeah, the New Yorkers initially think they're really bad. April does a report. New Yorkers realize the turtles are good, help the turtles, they get the win, and the turtles integrate into society. So that is the basic of the film. There's really not much point going into it too deep because I don't want to ruin it for anyone, but that is the general thing. But what I would say, now we've got past the basics of the plot, is how did you feel about the art in the film, Kim? The style of the Turtles, the general style of the film overall.
It's okay. It's not my favorite animation. It reminds me of, and it's going to really annoy me, but there was a band that did a music video, and it was a really popular song. I'm going to have to look it up after this. But the animation out of that music video reminds me very much of the animation in this movie. I think they've tried to go a little bit with, like, stop motion, where it kind of looks like Play-Doh, but they've also added in the sketchy part of it.
Yeah, definitely. It's certainly got a claymation look at times, hasn't it? The stop motion, the claymation. Yeah. And I mean, I know they're done by different companies as well, but I certainly think that style is quite popular at the moment, given the look of films like Spider-Man. Is it Into the Spider-Verse? I'm terrible. I should have remembered that, really. But I'm just going to bring up a picture of one of the film posters there. I'm sure everyone's seen them already, but the look of them you can certainly tell that they are heavily based on the 1987 cartoon, but they have changed them up a lot. And as Kim said, there's that sort of claymation look to them. I mean, to bring up another picture of the Turtles, this is how they appear. So it is a very childish sort of style, but the way they do it's quite clever. I mean, it probably took me a few minutes, honestly, to adapt to the animation style when I first started watching the film. But once I got into it, I mean, I thought the story was pretty good, and I was there for it completely. We were talking about Kim, have you said that you've done some slides, didn't you, to sort of compare previous styles of the Turtles over the years? Didn't know if you wanted to bring any of those up.
Yeah, so we can look at, like, the original one from the 1987 version, from just the plain animation on this side of things.
Oh yeah, the Fred Wolf cartoon.
Yeah, so obviously very early, even though it was like late 80s, I have to admit it's very 90s animation style.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't think the animation style for that cartoon aged badly at all. And what I was getting at with, they've taken cues from the 87 cartoons. If you actually, I'm going to bring this picture up again I just showed. If you look at these guys, obviously they've still got their colored bandanas and whatnot, but if you look there on Raphael's belt, and they've all got it, it's just little things like their initials in their belt buckles and stuff like that, where you think, well, yeah, you've definitely given a nod to previous versions of the Turtles.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you showed me some pictures earlier that you'd researched. I mean, the style of the Turtles has changed quite heavily with every incarnation, hasn't it?
So even if we go from 1987 to like 2003, like They've, to be fair, I feel like they've gone from being this approachable, happy-looking thing to slightly more aggressive-looking.
It's what year 2003. So that to
Yeah,
me, that's a very anime style,
yeah.
and
Especially
it.
considering with the poster and stuff, they've then got the shadow part of them behind.
Hmm. But again, even in 2003, they kept that theme from the Fred Wolf cartoon with the colored bandanas, didn't they? That's
Yeah. To be fair, that's consistent throughout, because even if we then go to like there was quite a big sort of break between them, but even if we go to the 2012 version,
see
I
this
don't
version.
like this style. It feels like it's out of a computer game.
It does, but I could more closely relate the turtles from Mutant Mayhem to these
Yeah.
than I could the other ones. If you see where I'm coming from with that,
Yeah.
I I certainly think. I mean, it's a very naive style, isn't it? Not to sound all arty farty, but you are right. It does look like a sort of probably around 2000 sort of computer game to me. That style, but
Yeah.
then the style evolved again, didn't it?
Yeah, so when you go from like 2012 to 2018, like this is very animated.
Definitely, but
Um,
I can see cues in that to Mutant Mate. Of course, Nickelodeon producing this cartoon, making this film. You can see if like Raphael there. You can see with his I know in the Michael Bay movies, Raphael had that overhead bandana, but
yeah, the full one.
which I imagine that was before this. So they probably took a cue from that for this, and then you can imagine that Mutant Mayhem took a cue from that. But again, April O'Neil there. I mean, that's the first time that April O'Neil was portrayed as being African American, which is what they've done again in Mutant Mayhem.
Yeah.
Because I think, yeah, is the first time. Have you got any pictures on April O'Neil, the progression of April?
Yeah.
That's why I get you on these things, Kim, because you're just super prepared. I know I could ask that and you'd have it.
Here's one I did earlier.
Honestly, she's that good, guys. Like I wouldn't get any of this stuff done. I'm terrible. So yeah, there's 1987 April O'Neil, which there you go, in that famous yellow jumpsuit, which nearly every version of April, bar this one in the middle from 2003, has some amount of yellow on them as a sort of nod to the 87 cartoon. But looking at it, yeah, April O'Neil in the 2012 cartoon, I would say that's the first time that she was portrayed as a teenager.
Yeah.
So they sort of de-aged her. But in
Yeah,
this,
it's quite funny though because I have to admit, like they've kind of dulled down everybody into a teenager since the 2012 version, including the movie, and like so the 2012 TV version, the 2018 TV version, but now this new movie, they've dulled them all down to teenagers, and I've been looking online and stuff, and there's actually so many people who are not happy that April O'Neil was made younger.
well, she
They feel like
beforehand
she should have always been an adult.
she was always sort of a big sister before, wasn't she?
Yeah.
Although in the Fred Wolf cartoon, I would say in the original miniseries, she did have her moments where she was the damsel in distress. But I think as the Fred Wolf cartoon went on, she became sort of more of the damsel in distress. From what I recall of the 2003 cartoon, she was a lot more feisty. I've got to hold my hands up here. I haven't really watched the 2012 cartoon. It never appealed to me. It was sort of past my time. The 2018 cartoon, I've seen Jackson watching bits of it before, but it's never sucked me in, to be honest. But yeah, I can certainly see how April O'Neil from 2018 is clearly what, to me, that you can see they're taking lots of cues from the 2018 for the whole of Mutant Mayhem.
Yeah.
Which again makes sense. Nickelodeon are in control of the wheel now, and this is where it's going to go. One things I did like, I have got a few things myself for once. So I can do some technical stuff. I've got some pictures of the mutants. I'm just going to bring up April O'Neil. I feel this is. I'm sure everyone's seen it now, but this is April O'Neil in Mutant Mayhem, and to me, you can definitely see she's inspired by the 2018 April O'Neil. Now it's interesting because there's been a lot of. I remember there was a lot of sort of hullabaloo and complaints online because people were saying that it was unnecessary to race swap April for this film. But given that they did so in 2018, and if we want to look back at it, Baxter Stockman was originally black in the Eastman and Laird cartoon, and he was changed to a white guy for the 87 cartoon. So it's not new. They change characters each version. I think people. I don't know. Would you agree with me, Kim? Do you think people have looked too deep into this one, but maybe it's because there's a lot of noise around this in general Hollywood and with films at the moment anyway?
What? I think if we weren't in the culture that we're in now, and we weren't in a situation where every single film that's coming out, there's this expectation that they're going to change stuff to make it more culturally appropriate or make it more politically correct. People
that
wouldn't
magical word woke.
Yeah, but people wouldn't. They're looking for it now. Instead of just accepting it and just watching it and getting on with it, they're specifically looking for the differences in movies now. So they're automatically going to compare them to the older versions and be like, that's different, that's different, that's different. Oh, they've done it for this reason. Oh, they've done it for that reason. And it automatically makes it a talking point. Whether or not the films want that to be a talking point because it means the movie's being talked about, I don't know whether it's in their favor or not in their favor, or at least it just gets the film talked about.
Yeah, I mean, when you look back to 87, Baxter was made a white character. Then I believe for the 2003 cartoon, they changed him back to be black again, much like he was. He was a lot closer to Baxter of the Eastman and Laird comics, and they've stayed with that. I really couldn't give a damn what color any of the human characters are in the film. It's a fictional film. It's not a historical character that they're making their own history from. It's a historical film. It's a complete retelling. I mean, there was also some people, and we're going to go into this a bit deeper later on for part of the film when we get to it. People complaining that they gender swapped some of the characters in this film, and they did. They did. Leatherhead is now done. I believe Leatherhead was voiced by Rose Byrne. I'm just going to bring up a list, some pictures of the cast and crew. So, yeah, Rose Byrne voiced Leatherhead. Leatherhead was previously a male character. Who else have we got there that they changed? Wingnut, I believe it was voiced by a female. Scumbug, and this is an important one. That there's not, I can't see a voice up there for Scumbug, but Scumbug's gender was swapped, very clearly swapped. They say, keep this in your head. They do. I watched the film again, and they very clearly do indicate all the way through the film that Scumbug is now a female. And it didn't. None of that was forced down your throat at all during the film. I didn't see any of it. There was no forcing pronouns. There was no forcing anything. It was just a
story.
It was just a story. That there's no agenda I could see, and I know there will be many people out there who would scream at me and go, yes, there was. That's fine. If you could see it, I couldn't. Kim couldn't see it, and she's more intelligent than I am by a country mile, as you can all tell. And she didn't pick up on it. My missus didn't pick up on it. Other friends I know have watched it, haven't picked up on it. It was just a good all-round story. We've sort of gone over the animation style and the look of the movie. We had a brief look at the cast, and I'm going to bring the cast up again. Sorry, just to pop it on the screen. But getting on to the cast, as you can see there's some big hitters in this film. You've got Splinter, played by Jackie Chan, which is quite cool, given that it's sort of known and said online that in some of the later iterations of Turtles cartoons and whatnot, they've base Splinter on Jackie Chan. Now Jackie Chan is playing Splinter, so it sort of becomes full circle. I can't say it very well, but I think it's Carlos Esposito. I'm just going to say Gus Fring from Breaking Bad, the chap who plays Gus Fring, plays Baxter Stockman. Ice Cube, obviously the big one there. He played Superfly brilliantly. It's so awesome. You had John Cena as Rocksteady, which I didn't actually realize till after I saw the film, because I didn't really look much into the film before I saw it. I just wanted to see it because Jax wanted to see it. And Seth Rogen did Bebop, and all the turtles were played by actual teenagers, which you can tell. So Mika Abbey was Donatello, Brady Noon was Raphael. It's not in normal order. Nicholas Cantu, Leonardo, and where's Michelangelo? I can't see Michelangelo. Can you, Kim?
No, he's been missed out.
He's been missed out. Naughty me. Well, I can.
Oh dear.
Oh dear. Well, I've just failed my YouTube test, but it's not a problem because I'm just going to, say I'll come back to that in a minute. But yeah. But anyway, it's unimportant. Look, this is a live stream. Not a lot of planning went into it. Kim, do you want to do a live stream about Mutant Mayhem? I haven't seen it. I'll pay for you to go for your birthday. Do I have to? Yes, you do. Here we are now. That's about as much planning went into this.
I know, and you still owe me for all the kids stepping on my feet.
Well, why don't you tell the people in the chat your experience at the cinema? It's not relevant to the actual film itself, but just why I'm correcting my mistake here of missing out one of the characters on the cast list. If you want to tell the good people of your horrific experience at the cinema.
Well, if we put it into context, right? I don't have any children. Me and children do not get on. I don't have anything against children. It's just I'm not used to having to go and have a cinema experience with a whole heap of kids. So, well, two sets of parents allowed their children to cut in front of me in the queue.
Oh no. Before we go any further, Shamon Brown Jr. played Michelangelo, and Io Edebiri, sorry, I butchered that pronunciation, was April O'Neil. But anyway, continue your story of woe and your horror of going to...
Yeah, so two parents allowed their children to cut in front of me, which didn't really appreciate. I've been standing in the queue already for about 10 minutes, so I didn't really appreciate that one. Then I'd already booked my seat and everything, so it was fine, and I'd sat down. And then about 10 people, so one adult and about 9 children came up. And the kids just started, walking over me in the seat. And I was like, whoa. Just let me get up and get out of your way, for God's sake. But no, they just stood all over me and hit my knee and bruised my feet and all this type of thing. And just the parent just stood there and be like, nothing. I'm like, really?
So to summarize, you went in the middle of the day in the summer holidays to see a kids film.
Would not have mattered what time I went. My choices were 11:20, 2:10, or 4:30. Now there would have been no difference what time I went. If there was a 10 o'clock at night showing, maybe, but there's not.
So that was Kim's story of woe, and she was. I should have screenshotted the messages she was sending me while she was in the cinema, raging, and it was a proper rage. She was not happy. In fact, a load of messages there, just like I hate you, Nick.
I just wanted to watch a movie in peace. I don't want to get stood on. And also, I just found it funny because, half the kids were like, Dad, Mom, why are you looking at your phone? The cinema's told you not to look at your phone.
See, there's the kids can be. So obviously, I've got a 9-year-old son, so going to the cinema to see any film, I'm quite hardened to this now. And you do learn that you can't tell kids to shut up, really, and you can't push them if they stand on your feet. You have to sit on your hands and accept it, and you have to deal with them talking and going, "Mum, what's going on?" That's the normal one. That happens pretty much all the time. So yeah, it is what it is. So I'm sorry that my birthday present to you. I'm sorry that my birthday present to you was just so terrible. I apologize profusely.
You'll just have to do better next year.
Well, last year I got you coffee vouchers. So this year I got you.
You got me coffee vouchers. Well, the voucher had a weird picture of you making a face.
Did it?
Yes. So when I had to get the voucher scanned, it had your weird face on it.
My weird face.
Well, you were making a face on the voucher, so when I had to get it scanned, all I could see was the barcode in your face.
Would I do something like that?
I'm just glad it wasn't a rude face or a rude picture.
I don't remember. I sort of remember it now, and I kind of gutted that I didn't know it was going to be. Yeah, I thought it was going to come on the card like in the birth. Oh well, amazing. I hope you kept that card for memories. Oh my goodness.
But
anyway,
actually, on that note, considering it is a kids' film, did you not interview Jackson for this?
Yes, I did. So something we wanted to do, and I'm just going to bring this up one more time just to show people the cast of the film. I'm not going to read through all the names, but if you'd like to see, that's very lazy of me, I must admit. But once again, there is the main cast of the movie. But I thought to myself, now it's okay as adults sat here saying what we do and don't like about what are children's films and what have you. But I thought, well, why don't I actually ask someone who the film was properly aimed at? So I will say now, it's just over a minute long, this interview. There's a lot of rattling in it. It's because he was playing with a toy car. But what I want to do now is I want to bring up me interviewing my son about his thoughts on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem.
Hello, Jackson.
Hello, APD or APC.
I mean, Daddy would do.
Okay, Dad.
Oh, yeah, Dad. Sorry, I forgot that you're all grown up now. How old are you now? 9?
Yeah.
9 going on 19?
No.
Right, so, what did you think of the new Turtles movie?
Amazing, and I really like the Mondojo who went all the time.
Scumbag.
Yes.
How did he go? Yeah, was that... So, what did you think? Did you think that it was better for you than the old... We'll call it old-fashioned, because to you it is old-fashioned, the 1990s film.
No, I found the 1990 film a bit better, because that one completely changed the stories from the Turtles.
What, the new one completely changed the story of the Turtles? Yeah. But you still think it was, did you say excellent?
Yeah.
So, you prefer the 1990s film, but were you happy with the film Mutant Mayhem?
I'd rather be trapped in a room with that film going on over and over again than I would with a film about unicorns.
Okay, cool. So, in summary, you would rather be trapped in a room with Turtles Mutant Mayhem on repeat than watching a film on repeat about unicorns?
Yeah.
High five, dude. Cool.
So that was my son giving us his opinion on Mutant Mayhem. So once again, he would
rather picked unicorns.
He'd rather be trapped in a room with this film on loop than a film about unicorns.
That's so sad, considering unicorns are Scotland's national animal.
No, are they?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Hang on. Let's put this turtles nonsense aside for a moment. You want to?
Yeah, but Wales is a dragon, Scotland is a unicorn, and English is a lion. So out of all of them, you guys are boring. We have a unicorn.
We're grounded in reality.
No, we have a unicorn, and they have a dragon.
Why don't I know this? Why have I never seen this? Are you sure you're not just like trying to?
No,
tell a little lie.
Our
here.
national animal is the unicorn.
Your national. Right, okay. Well, we're gonna have to get back into turtles, but that one has just blown my mind. So Rolando Flores says he's driving but listening. That's cool, Rolando. Thanks for being here. Thanks everyone
Just
for
drive
being here.
safe too, please.
Yeah, Kim says drive safe too, because she's had some disasters this week driving, haven't you?
Just don't even. Let's not. Bloody
Well.
male drivers.
It was you who hit stuff.
It's not me that hit stuff.
Anyway, because we're really going off track now.
Back onto the movie.
What's Alan Dawson bringing up here? Why do you think the national crest has a lion and a unicorn on it, Nick? Well, to be honest with you, I've never noticed the unicorn. Perhaps I'm blind to mythical creatures. I don't know. I've never taken it in. There you go. You can call me ignorant, blind, unaware. I am all of those things. A unicorn. What's up with that? Anyway.
Maybe it's a Celtic thing.
It possibly is. But
even the Welsh are classed as Celtic, so maybe it's a Celtic thing.
Something back on Mutant Mayhem. On the subject of why we're actually here.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. That's fine. We went on a diversion. It's great. It's a live stream.
To be fair, Jax did bring up the unicorns.
He did. So a 9-year-old derailed the stream.
That sounds about right, though.
Emma, who says that we ignore her comments, says, "Jack's so cute. What a little professional." Yeah, he is very cute. He has his moments, and it's important just to say one more time, we should always give special shout outs to my friend Emma. But
I can just imagine her like plotting in the background.
Yeah, she's gonna get back at me. But no, the score of this film, the score was brilliant. The songs picked were absolutely incredible.
The soundtrack was very good.
The soundtrack was amazing. And I think this is the one thing that they really did aim at the adults, because I went on to Spotify there wasn't an official list. We got the film about 3 or 4 days before the States did. So I went on to Spotify to look for a playlist of the film, and somebody had already put one together because people are super quick. It wasn't the official one, but it had the tracks in it, and started listening to it. I was like, I can't listen to this with Jax because I'm gonna bring up another backdrop now, but here we go. I mean, let's just have a look at some of what we had in this film. We had MOP Ante Up. I'm just going. There's loads in there. No Diggity by Blackstreet. I'm not going to go through them all, but just to give you an idea of some of the songs which really stood out for me. Shimmy Shimmy Yeah by ODB. The song that was used for all the advertising, Can I Kick It? A Tribe Called Quest. Party Up by DMX. Woo Ha by Busta Rhymes. Lauryn Hill with Everything Is Everything. Brooklyn Zoo again by ODB. 2 Cups of Blood by Gravediggers. I'm going to leave that up for a few seconds so people can just have a read through if they want to. I appreciate Rolando's driving, so that doesn't really help. What a bloody selection of songs. They were absolutely incredible, and the score was absolutely awesome. It just blew my mind. How did you feel that they did that? It was done to that this was the part that was done and aimed at the adults. Because it is worth saying, I didn't say that the score, the sort of incidental music was very heavy synth based, lots of 80-ish sounded music in it to me, I thought. But that was done by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross of 9 Inch Nails.
You know what though? I kind of feel that I don't think the soundtrack was necessarily done for the adults, but I think because they've brought the characters in the movie into, well, technically 21st century, because the previous one was in the 20th century, if we actually think about it.
Yeah, I mean, even the
So-
Turtles have all got mobile phones now, or cell phones
Yeah,
for our
so like
American
they've
friends.
brought
And
they've brought the characters and stuff into the 21st century and everything, but the music and stuff is still, it's like still keeping a part of the original because they've still kept the music like the music from the era.
Mhm.
So they've still kept the little bit of like paying homage to the sort of the original era that it came from, which was like the 80s, 90s.
I mean, I already said this, but again, the actual score by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, that was incredible. And again, I am repeating myself, I'm sure, but the guys from Nine Inch Nails, and they just the back. I mean, all the actual score music was incredible. It fitted really well. These sort of hip hop and rap songs worked really well, and I did hear a couple of like mums coming out of the cinema when we took Jack saying that they thought the music was incredible.
Yeah.
And it took me all of walking from the cinema to get back to the car to start looking on Spotify for a playlist. They're all songs I grew up with, but equally my mate's two teenage daughters, they do listen to songs like this. This music is still popular even all these years later. So
it's because it influenced half the stuff that comes out now.
yeah, definitely. But I mean, I know you say no, but I do think sort of in my head, I do think that there must have been some sort of conscious decision there. I mean, because I'm a big fan of music. I mean, so if music's good, that's half the battle of getting me to be interested in anything. But it is just interesting that the tracks they picked, if you take your young kid to the cinema and you decide to put that playlist on in the car driving home, I hope you can find a censored version, because the official playlist they put out now has got some of the songs missing because they're just songs you couldn't edit.
Yeah.
You just couldn't edit them. So I thought that was a massive success of this film, to be honest. And I'm pretty sure there's going to be a sequel, and that's one thing, they've raised the bar so high on that they're going to have to work really hard. There's plenty more good tracks out there, but just the balance, every song seemed to hit just right. But then the people who do these scores and do these soundtracks, they're professionals, they know what they're doing, and they just got it to.
Yeah, well, if you really think about it, if we think about soundtracks in previous, like Guardians of the Galaxy, the first movie, the soundtrack was everything for that movie.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So it'll be the same for this movie, where they will have outdone themselves on the first one, so they're going to have to work really hard at how they keep that momentum going. Because if you think about it, did Guardians of the Galaxy get really good reviews because of the actual film itself, or did the fact that the soundtrack was epic push it to the next level? Because I hadn't even watched the movie, and all I heard about was the soundtrack, and I hadn't even seen the movie yet.
To be honest with you, I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy is an all right film. It's enjoyable enough, but yeah, the thing that's, if I thinking on it, yeah, the best part of that film is the soundtrack.
Yeah.
So good sound. A good soundtrack can. I mean, we're going to get into later what our thoughts are on where we put this film as to our enjoyment and what we would rate it. But even if a film was mediocre, a decent soundtrack and a decent score can bring it miles and miles above. So I was very much excited several times while we were watching it at songs that came on. So we've touched on the score. In my notes here, I've got written down controversies. We went over a little bit earlier with the whole people getting a bit upset about the race swap. But the big one here, the big one that there was video after video after video on YouTube. Splinter. The word went around that they made Splinter gay in this movie. They didn't. They just didn't.
No.
And then even when the film's director Jeff Rowe came out and did an interview to say, look, no, guys, we didn't. And I'm going to bring up what it was that started this. And I can see why this happened. I can see why people got this idea, certainly. Now, this is the poster for Scumbag for the movie. Every mutant got their own poster. And it says Scumbag as himself. Now, Scumbag is a female character in the film. And they reference Scum. I've seen this film twice now. The first time I was just sort of in the mode of enjoying it. Didn't basically, Scumbag ends up getting with Splinter. They start a relationship. As weird as it is, at the beginning of the film, Splinter has a friend that's a cockroach. It's his only friend. He gets stepped on, then Splinter eats him. But anyway, it's by the by. So Splinter can speak. Scumbag can only speak like bug language. Splinter can speak bug language. The first time I watched it, I just took Scumbag as a bug. I saw no gender, but I didn't see any of that. Didn't pick up on any of it. But on second watch, having seen all these videos and that, they keep saying her and she. It is constant. It's not constant, but it's there whenever they reference her. And I believe the reason, I'm going to bring this poster, my theory is Scumbag was originally a male character. Now, if you would have sent that poster to me to OK before it was being sent out from the art department, and I hadn't seen this film and I was a fan of Turtles, Scumbag as himself, because Scumbag was previously a male character, I can totally see why that poster got put out there by mistake. The thing is, now the director's come out and said it's not the case, and now people are saying that. I've seen videos, people saying it's a conspiracy, they're backtracking. Believe what you want to believe, that's absolutely fine. I don't really care. It's not worth wasting too much thought on it, but that is the one of the big controversies that certainly last week, possibly the week before, loads of videos. Somebody I know sent me a video about it. And I immediately responded, he's not gay. Splinter's not gay. I've seen it. Scumbag's not. I actually said, I believe in my response to my friend was, Scumbag's just a bug. I don't think they even brought gender into it. But what did you think on it, Kim? You watched the film. You've heard about the controversy after seeing the film. Is there any hidden agenda there? Any backtracking you can see? I mean, if there is, and they've
No, they quite clearly say her right at the beginning when they introduce Scumbag in the first place. And also, I find it very hard to believe that they would actually backtrack, considering the fact the posters maybe come out 2-3 weeks, a month max before it actually gets released. That would be very, very difficult from a production point of view to redo that and fix that. That's a lot of money and a lot of extra work to do that. So it's most likely a printing error off the poster, and what's in the film is actually correct. But to be honest, it just sounds like people are picking up on it on purpose just to make a thing about it. But to be honest, if it was me, I would have never put himself in the first place, because to me, if you're doing it properly, then you would say, oh, it's a scumbag as themselves. Or you would say, so-and-so is playing blah, blah, blah as themselves. Should have just put themselves. That's not saying the person's non-binary. It just sounds better when you say it. So people need to remember that just using they, them is not necessarily a non-binary thing. It's just grammatically and how you speak. Using that terminology just sounds better. I mean, so it's like, I don't really think there's anything. I don't think there's a conspiracy on it. I think that's a bit far-fetched, really. Yeah.
Got to stop saying and I mean. Every time we do anything or we record anything, when I did the APC podcast, I say and I mean far too much. So now everyone knows, because they're picked up because I said it, and I just heard myself saying it then. So I could, we could be wrong. Maybe. And maybe it is a big thing, and maybe they did backtrack on it and whatever. But either way, if they did
So what?
backtrack on it, they backtracked on it and it got changed back. So
what?
yeah,
I don't care.
if there was ever a film in this day and age with all the things that go around about people talk, I know we had a bit of a conversation about this before with about the people saying about April's race swap and whatnot, but this film really didn't. I've seen it twice. You've seen it. My wife's seen it. You know, there was really no agenda pushed in this
Also,
film.
Even if Splinter was gay, what's the problem?
Yeah, to be fair, if he is
Because
gay, he's gay, isn't he?
well, yeah, because his sexuality was never brought into question before because it was never even alluded to. This is kind of the first time it's sort of really been alluded to that he was a lonely person. Like,
When you think about it, when did you ever see Splinter before? As you say, they never mentioned his preferences.
no. He was just a rat that happened to be a sensei.
I mean, all right, in the Fred Wolf cartoon, they changed it up, and he started off as a human, then mutated into a rat. In the 1990 film, much like the original comic, he was the rat, the pet.
Yeah,
the guy.
but it's like
But they didn't show anything.
They never brought his relationship status up or whether he was lonely, and it just so happens in this movie his boys are wanting to go off into the big bad world and he's going to have an empty nest and he's by himself. So that's the only reason that they've brought into come into the movie, that he's lonely. And therefore, if he wants companionship, who would that companionship be? But I'm kind of like, okay, and well, if he's gay, what's wrong with that? What's I don't understand why it's a thing.
It's very strange, isn't it? Like, we live in 2023. People being gay is not. I know that there are people who are not accepting, and there are people who are horrible, and they're assholes, and they're not accepting. But
I don't care.
They shouldn't be like that. But I couldn't give a monkey's if you're gay, straight, whatever. The biggest thing is, are you a nice person? Because if you are a nice person,
exactly,
I couldn't give a shit about your persuasion. If you're a nice person, be what you want. What you do, providing it's not illegal and you're a nice person, what you do, who cares?
Yeah, I don't understand why it's a conspiracy theory or controversy or whatever it is, because I'm just like, oh man, I mean, his sexuality was never.
Splinter's not gay in it,
before.
like everyone's saying, and they've said time and time again he's not gay, so it's fine. So people can stop. People who are worried by that can stop worrying because they've confirmed he's not. As we both said, what does it bloody matter?
Well, exactly.
But he's not gay. And even if he were, if Splinter would have turned out to have been gay in the film, I probably would have been like, Splinter's gay, is he? Okay.
That would explain the bathrobe as a clothing choice.
I've always thought Hugh Hefner, the Hugh Hefner sort of swag, the smoking jacket with Splinter. That's always been. I always looked at him and thought he's very Hugh Hefner-esque. So yeah. All the people, and it wasn't one or two videos. Of course, knowing that we were doing this live stream, I've naturally gone on YouTube, listened to other people's views and opinions on the film. Realized I'm not very good at talking live or doing any. I don't sound anything like as good as these people do on camera. But for all the people who are upset by it, it's a non-issue. But the thing is, the director's come out and said it's not now. If people believe that it's been backtracked on, you won't convince them otherwise. It's unimportant anyway, because the film has been massively successful. They will make a sequel of it. It's sort of like, I'm going to be honest, I really enjoyed this film. But it's not my Turtles. My Turtles is 87, 1990. That's my Turtles, but it's not my property anymore.
Yeah.
And what they've done, this film is not a continuation of the Turtles I loved. my
No,
Turtles.
it's a new
It's a
audience.
retelling. So
Yeah.
this Turtles now is my son's Turtles. So I'm along for the ride to enjoy it with him enjoying it. So when we're never going to get back Turtles of the Fred Wolf era, of the 1990s era. But this is going to bring me into now. This is where I'm going to say, now is your time, Kim. We've spoke on the mechanics of the film, soundtrack, cast, characters, what have you. But do you want to go for your life? What is your opinion, your view of this film? Did you enjoy it? Would you watch it again? What did you think? No wrong answers.
I would just say the film's all right as far as I'm concerned. Did I feel like I had to did I feel like I wanted to see it? No. I had to see it in order to do the stream. Would I have gone to see it off my own back? Probably not. I would have maybe watched it if it came out on like Prime or something like that. Would I watch it again? Maybe. It's probably not, but maybe if I was like really bored or something like that. It's because I come from the same time as you where it's not my Turtles, and I like it doesn't appeal to me in the same way. I understand why they've done it, because they're now going towards a different generation and a new audience, and they're retelling a story, and it's just creating a completely new fan base. So I think it's the same as any remake of a movie. The people that grew up with the older version most likely usually always prefer the older version because it's nostalgia for them. But then I'm of a different opinion in general, where I just don't like stuff being retold over and over and over again. But unfortunately, that is the way that everything's going. So it's just, do I think it's good for kids? Yes, I do think it's good for kids. Do I think it's good for a new generation and a new audience? Yeah, I do. Is it for me? No.
Completely fair. Anything else you want to say on it?
No, because I'm trying to be positive about the movie at the same time.
All I would say is I enjoyed the second watch more than the first watch, because the second watch I wasn't harassed and bothered by a load of kids.
I might watch it a second time, we'll see.
But I also had to watch it again because I saw it when it came out, and it's been a couple of weeks, and I am a scatterbrain, as you know.
Yeah.
My views on this film, I sort of said a bit on it already. It's not my Turtles. It's not the Turtles I grew up loving. Where it was clever, and I don't think you'll mind me saying this, because when we spoke the other day, you said this. I am the much bigger fan of Turtles than yourself. I grew up.
Mhm.
I was there for Turtle Mania. I don't profess to be an expert on it. I've got pretty good knowledge of Turtles. Certainly what I call my Turtles. But this film did well in as much as it hit all the right notes to give me a little bit of a nostalgia buzz. It is a retelling. It's certainly a retelling. And I think there will be a sequel, because, spoiler alert, they set the end up. I said earlier, Sylvia Outram, keep your ears open for that later on. Outram connected to the Krang. Sylvia Outram is probably Krang. And in the end credit sequence, Shredder appears. So they're already setting it up for a sequel. How they're going to bring in Bebop and Rocksteady, getting with the Shredder and all the mutants. We were chatting about this backstage. There's a million and one ways they can do it. There's no point in saying what we think they're going to do, because they'll do what they're going to do. And one thing I've learned from watching channels on YouTube where they put videos out a year before it comes out saying what it's going to be, you watch it and few people get it right, but it's often wrong. But anyway, it's a lot of waffle to say. It's not my Turtles, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. And there is the added bonus with myself that I enjoyed it probably even more because I got to go to the cinema with my son and got to see him enjoy something that I really enjoyed. And also, in my son's little interview, he said he preferred 1990s Turtle to this film anyway.
To
But
be
I'm
fair
gonna-
though, I would really like them to see. I would really like to see them trying to do the 1990s version, but in today's world with all the technology and stuff they have with prosthetics and puppets and things like that.
Well, yeah, we're coming away from this film, Mutant Mayhem. If you guys haven't, if anyone watching this hasn't seen, our first podcast was Heyday versus Bayday, which was the 1990s Turtle films versus the Michael Bay films. If you haven't listened to it, you can listen to it on Spotify. You can watch it here on YouTube. I think it's under the live section of my channel. Shameless self-promotion. But we did dive into it, and I think we both said in Heyday versus Bayday, this film is a CGI. Mutant Mayhem is a CGI film, but it's done to look like claymation, and the whole film is CGI, isn't it? So it works. But I think neither of us felt that the CGI turtles put in the real world scenario overly worked. We weren't that keen, were we?
No.
And we said that. I think we both said, and correct me if I'm wrong, keep me honest here, I think we both said that we felt that the 1990s films, although puppets, Jim Henson's puppets for the original movie, second movie changed for the third movie, I think we said that the practical effects held up better, didn't we?
Yeah.
And I think yeah, I would have liked to. They certainly won't for the sequel to this, but I wouldn't have minded if they actually could, as you say, go and get. I mean, I know Jim Henson's no longer with us, but his son's still in the industry. The company still exists. It'd be interesting to bring them in for a sequel now, wouldn't it? Even if they not a sequel to the 1990s films, but a straight up remake like they've done here, I would have been intrigued to see how that went. And I think if they did it right, some people may or may not know from previous chats we've had with Kim on the channel, your background is what's your background? What's the official word for it? You studied making all this stuff. You tell him, Kim.
Yeah, so I have a Bachelor of Arts degree in special makeup effects artistry, so that's prosthetics and animatronics.
So you know about this stuff. You keep up with it. I would love to see them do that. But
they may not even pick like Jim Henson. There's so many big companies now. Like obviously you've got like Neil Gorton, and they did Doctor Who. So
True.
There's like loads of big ones now. So it's just one of these things. I'd be really interested to see how they could redo the film with the amount of technology and detail and stuff now that they can do with puppets. I would just love to see the contrast of what they're capable of doing now compared to what they did in the 90s using today's technology.
Sure. I think I'd like to see that as well. And you're right, it doesn't have to be the Henson Company. That's just me nostalgic going back to...
Yeah, I would love to see what they're doing just now as well, but it's just, I think it would just be really cool to really sort of see the difference between what was groundbreaking technology in the 90s and what's progressed over in sort of, 30 years?
So I'm going to bring up some, before we go any further and we wrap this up. If I bring up, say, for example, a picture, this picture here, do you think would you want them to do it more do you think this style could translate to practical effects? Or do you think they'd have to make it a bit more real worldy like they did in the other films?
No. If you see some of the animatronics and pieces and stuff that they do now, they could easily do things like that. Some of the sculptures and stuff that you see, even just out of students and things coming out of these companies, they're amazing.
Because there's so many options I believe they could take for styles. I just wondered if you thought that if they could bring, I think what I'm trying to say, because as you've already said earlier, you're better at speaking than I am, and you are. Do you think they could have translated this style of Turtles into real world? Or do you think that would have been too far away from what they would need? Do you think that this style only suits its in-world style, as in what we saw in the film?
I think the style that they were going for is better literally as a claymation animation. Because of what they were, because basically what they felt like they were doing is, because there's some scratchy parts in it, I feel like they were trying to make it as if it's like a comic book, but the characters move in the comic book.
Yeah, I mean, what I saw sorry, I brought up Bebop there. So I was looking, I thought I had a picture of Rocksteady as well to show other characters, but I didn't upload it. Second fail on my part this evening. Yeah, that claymation style, something I read online was that the directors, what they did, and I think I did pick up on it a bit more the second watch having read this. They tried to keep the style of the Turtles in this film very much how they thought a teenager would draw the pictures if they were illustrating it in like the scribbles of a school book or something, if they were doing their drawings. And they kept it sort of jumpy and movie, and the only time it went moving around a lot, and the only time it went really super smooth was when they were fighting.
Yeah.
So that I've read that. I mean, maybe that is the case. So overall, back in the day, when you got the Teenage Mutant Hero Turtle toys when I was a kid, because in the UK, ninjas were evil and you died if you even said ninja. We changed it to Hero, but Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Back in the day, when you used to buy the figures, on the back of the box, you used to get pizza points, and you collect those pizza points to trade in for magical rewards and other turtle things. So what I'm going to say to you, Kim, is how would you rate this film 1 to 5? We're rating it on a 1 to 5 basis, 1 being terrible, 5 being awesome. How would you rate this film in pizza points? How many pizza points would you give this film?
Probably about 3, just in the middle.
3. Boom. See, I made a graphic for us. So 3.
You're so proud, aren't you?
I'm so proud that I pulled that off. So you score it 3 out of 5 pizza points, and I'm going to give this movie 3.5 out of 5 pizza points. I don't think it's a perfect movie, but I'm looking at it with adult eyes. And I should have done another graphic because I asked Jax and he gave it 4.5. But I haven't made a graphic for it. I think this film will be probably more popular with the kids. That's its intended audience. But I think if they can get you to score 3 out of 5, and Kim can be grumpy, and get me to score 3.5, I think overall they've done a pretty good job. I know Kim says she doesn't know if she'd watch it again. If they do a sequel, she'll have to watch that because we'll probably do a stream about it at some point. Hey, you turn your nose up. Let's see. I don't know if anyone remembers, but Kim said she didn't want to touch anything Turtles for at least a year after Heyday versus Bayday because she had complete turtle burnout.
I still have turtle burnout.
But I think you've done well to get through it.
So it's been extended because we did start my year. You've interrupted it, so it's a year from now.
Well, there is a TV series coming out to tie into this movie, apparently. No. Hey, it's going to be on Paramount. I give you access to Paramount, so
you can have it back.
You can watch it for free. It's on me. But I did do a poll on Twitter, on the Action Pop Dad Twitter feed, and I asked the public what they thought of the film, and I'm going to bring it up. So the question was put to the public: Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem, what did you think? And I gave the options: I loved it, cowabunga, it was okay, I guess, haven't seen it, and it ruined my childhood. Well, it scored 64% on I loved it, Cowabunga. It was okay, I guess, which I think Kim would be in that camp. 0%, haven't seen it, 27%, and 9% with it ruined my childhood, which I put in there for a laugh. And
At least I'm the 1%.
I'm hoping that the people who voted for it ruined my childhood will put in that ironically, because no film should ever ruin your childhood, because you always have an option to not watch it or ignore it. Or if you watch it and think that was absolute shit, you can always say, I'm never going to watch that again, and I'm just going to watch what I like. Because look at me with Star Wars. I'm about the original trilogy. Anything else couldn't really care less. So I still have my original trilogy. So that's what the public think. Kim, is there anything else you wanted to say, or anything else you wanted to? Any last final thoughts on Mutant Mayhem?
Cowabunga.
That's what more do we need other than Cowabunga?
Pizza.
Pizza. Oh, I wouldn't mind pizza. Few housekeeping things before we wrap this up. Next Saturday on Salacious Rum's channel, there is a special stream, a 12-hour stream, and I will do a post about this on my socials page, the social side of the YouTube page, the community section, link in this. But there's going to be a 12-hour fundraiser for Vader's girl, Kat, who's in the chat here, who's suffering crippling bloody medical bills currently. It's not good for her in that sense. So we're all going to pull together and see if we can raise a few quid to help ease some of that. So I will tag that on the community section. So if you can be there next week, it's a 12-hour stream. There's lots going on. Check out Rum's page. He's got a full list of it. I will be appearing on there in the section, an Irishman, an Englishman, and a Scotsman, and me and the Peaky Arrow are going to be representing the UK. Anyone watching that's going to think the UK is, yeah, but no, it should be fun. There's lots going on, so if you can get over there, if you can get over there and just support it by watching, that would be brilliant. Me and Kim are in the background working on another episode of APC. It is underway. It's just that Kim is super brilliant at work and got a massive promotion, and has had to do lots of work recently, and so Kim, you've been busy, haven't you, Kim? And to be fair, I've been busy. It's not Kim's, it's 50-50. We've both been pretty busy, haven't we?
Yeah. Podcasting is quite a lot of work, actually, when you start getting into it and making sure that it sounds right and doing all the extra stuff. So it's quite a lot to do. And when you're working 55 hours a week, coming home and trying to switch your brain on to research is quite a difficult task.
It is. I mean, the prep that went into this, all my slides and everything, that probably took me a couple of hours. Bam, done. For a podcast episode, so much more goes into it. This really is just me and Kim having a chat about a film, saying what we liked and what we didn't like about it. And to be honest, we haven't really had many dislikes, so that's been pretty cool. But the podcast is coming back. It's going to be a few weeks for sure, but we are working on it. It is coming back, so we will announce it and do all that stuff when it's coming. But I like to think that the next subject's a bit different to what we've already done, but people should enjoy it. And then before the stream as well, I won't go into details, but Kim hit me with, what are we going to do for this? So we've got more than one thing we're going to be working on. But I just want to say thank you to the people who've been in the chat tonight. There's not a load of us about, but it's a loyal bunch, and you've stuck around. And I appreciate some people can't be here live because it's a Saturday night and people have lives and things to do. Not to say that the people in the chat haven't got lives, because
well, we don't have lives, obviously.
But we don't have lives, and we always thank you for being here. I appreciate this hasn't been the most organised of streams, but to be honest, me and Kim said, look, we haven't done a podcast for a while. We're a few weeks off. Should we do something in the interim just to get something out there to keep our minds busy? And I'd just seen Turtles, and I said to Kim about it, and this is what happened. But you know, it's all good. Oh, who have we got there? Hello, Dave. Oh, hello, Dave from Toy Polloi. You have missed it, but we're wrapping up now. But the replay will be there. We have got we have got irons in the fire. We've got things going on. This hasn't been the most organised of streams, but I hope those of you who stuck it out have enjoyed what you've seen. And on that note, one last thing I've got to say before we go is another special shout out to my friend Emma, because, you know, we don't want to be accused of ignoring her. And thank you again to everyone. And we will see you soonish with another episode of APC. So thank you everyone for coming. Thank you everyone in the chat. Sorry we haven't got to many of your comments, but we have been reading. We've enjoyed you being here, and we'll catch you soon. Bye-bye. Bye.